Hi folks, my name's Adam and I like to make tiny nerdy things, and today I'm going to make the elusive Jaguar Shark.
Jaguar Shark, exactly. I love it. Tell me something, does it actually exist?
You know, Allie, I don't want to give away the ending.
Now if you've ever seen one of my videos, you know that I like to start by making an armature, then covering it in clay until I'm left with an accidental wiener. And I'm nothing if not consistent, so that's what we're going to do today. I'm sure a psychiatrist would have an absolute field day with me if I wasn't so afraid of self-improvement. But in my defense, I defy you to find a finless, faceless shark that doesn't look suspiciously phallic. Anyways, at this point I'm adding balls and veins of clay until I've got the girthiness that I'm after. The idea here is that I'm only going to be making half the shark, so it's going to end up being a tiny bit shorter than I'd like, but I think it'll still work. Now, shark teeth aren't like the usually pointy cones I make for monsters, rather they're like tiny flattish triangles, so I'm going to try to lay out a thin piece of clay and then chop a fancy diamond pattern into it. I'll then use my heat gun to cure the clay, since putting a cheese knife in the oven feels like a bad idea, and that's just a case of giving old Bitey several rows of teeny tiny triangular teeth C's. A couple holes get poked for his eyeballs to get dropped into, then I can jam the sharp end of my tool up the front of his face to give him some nostrils. And then it's time to make his fins. Now, a little later down the line, when it comes time to paint these, I realize that these fins, while very lovely, stick out too far and would literally end up costing me about 30 quid worth of resin. So I'm going to replace them with fins that point more downwards, taking the width of the resin box from 12 centimeters to 9 centimeters, saving me a whopping 3 centimeters worth of resin. Or, for my American viewers, saving me a whopping 3 centimeters worth of inches of resin. Now, to give the shark a little bit of texture, I'll use my softest silicone shapers and basically swipe back and forth, creating micro lines across the surface. Then I'll add scars and cuts around the eyes, the top of the head, the lips, and along all the fins. I like a shark with a bit of character, and my dad always told me that scars build character, so if I cover this guy top to bottom in scars, then it's kind of like I've given him an entire novel's worth of backstory. Of course, I'm going to end up covering him in so many layers of paint that you won't be able to see any of the finer details with a microscope, but that's beside the point. Now finally, to add the finishing touches, I'll brush his entire surface with a nylon scraper brush thing. Again, none of this is going to show through, but I bought these brushes a while ago, convinced that they would be used a lot, so goddammit, I'm going to use them. Then all that's left to do is cut the grooves for his gills, quickly count them to make sure that I made enough,
3, 4, 5. Nice.
and then toss them in the oven. Sometimes when you bake clay, you get cracks. They usually form when there's a pocket of expanding air underneath that needs to escape but can't find a way out, so it just kind of makes one. So what I like to do is use a softer clay and press it into place before aggressively rubbing it until it's coplanar with the rest of the model. Then I'll redo any of the texture I might have covered before curing it with a heat gun, and then once it's primed and facing away from the camera, you can't even see it. Now, because this is the fabled fluorescent Jaguar Shark, I'm going to be using a lot of whites, oranges, and yellows, so I wanted to start with a beige base coat. Even then, it took roughly 1,400 coats to get an even coverage for even the base colors. The bottom is a slightly off-white white, and then the top is an ochre base, with each subsequent layer having a bit more burnt sienna mixed in until I have a nice coat from top to bottom. The mouth gets painted an appropriately mouthy color, and then the teeth will get painted appropriately toothy colors. And then I'm fairly confident that all sharks have black eyes, so I just did that here too. Then it's time to finally add the spots. I really wanted these to be fluorescent, so I'm going to use fluorescent paint. I originally painted with just the yellow fluorescence, but they gave the shark a tinge more radioactive jaundice than I was aiming for, so I ended up mixing in a bit of orange just to give it a bit of a warmer color. Even then, it still took about a dozen coats to get an even cover, but by the end of it, I gotta say that's a pretty good looking shark. So then the only thing left to do is add the little dark spots to the bigger bright spots. Oh yeah, I also decided that his eyeball was a bit too hard to see among the spots, so I went over it with a silvery white. Then a quick check with the blacklight will show off my lovely fluorescent spots in all their glory. Then I can get cracking on my submarine, which will be yellow and hollow. Two seemingly harmless decisions that will come back to haunt me in the not too distant future. Normally I use Clay or Sculpey for all my models, but I had a block of this unused yellow female and this felt like a great reason to use it. Again, this is an important fact to remember a little later down the road. Now to make my submarine hollow, I built the body around a little ball of aluminium so that once it's been cured in the oven, I can cut it open and remove the core, leaving me with an adorable yellow almond shell. Then both halves get glued back together using a more than healthy amount of bacon bond, and we can start adding all the little pieces on. And with the body done, I can mark out where the windows are going before coming back with the drill and removing all the material. Then I'll fill all those spaces in with some translucent clay. This stuff is the tits. It works just like any other clay, but once it's been baked, it becomes translucent enough to carry light, but opaque enough to not show the gnarly interior of my sub. It works really well with LEDs as it diffuses the light and helps to spread a single light source evenly among the entire surface. So with the windows filled in, all I need to do is add the various bits and bobs along the outside of the sub until it looks like, well, like a sub. Then I can paint on some of the details. Now it is a yellow submarine, so I don't have to do much painting, but I do want to add some darker metal sections, a little bit of shading in the recesses, and then add some brighter highlights on the edges and some of the panels. Then a quick coat of varnish will seal it and keep the paint from leaching into the resin. Now the reason I wanted the hollow body was so that I could fit some of these teeny tiny LEDs inside to light up the windows and the spotlight. And it is every bit as awesome and adorable as I had hoped it would be. Of course, it's going to be hard to hide that big ugly copper wire hanging out the back, so instead I'm going to highlight it by taking this teeny tiny fish I made, drilling a hole in it, and then running the wire through the center of it. Then I can take my finished Jaguar Shark and using an extra long drill bit, drill a hole through his gob and out the back end, which should allow me to run the wiring for the LEDs through the shark and out the back, all while making the copper a part of the fishing line. Then I can fill the hole in the shark's mouth with a little UV resin to prevent any of the deep pore resin from leaking out while it's curing. Now, to attach the submarine to the shark so that it's floating, I'm going to use a tiny bit of acrylic rod. For the most part, it should blend into the background, so it shouldn't really be noticeable unless you go looking for it. Or of course, unless something goes wrong and it forms cracks, but really I can't imagine any scenario where that happens.
Foreshadowing.
Otherwise, it's time to build a frame. Now my frame did end up being a fair bit larger than I had originally planned for, and it ends up coming in at around 200 millimeters long and wide and about 100 millimeters deep. Fortunately, I've caulked up enough resin pores in the past by way of not checking to make sure my frame was watertight, so once I've taped, glued, and sealed everything, I ended up filling it with water and leaving it for an hour or so just to see if anything sprung a leak. However, with no noticeable leaks, it's now time to make some resin. Now it can take anywhere from a day to a week for me to sculpt, paint, and finish my models, but the joy of resin is that sometimes it only takes a few minutes to completely destroy them. Resin is like the anti-overnight success story. That being said, despite a few hiccups here and there, every once in a while I hit that sweet spot of resin pour perfection. Sadly, this was not one of those times. Rather hilariously though, the issue here wasn't with the resin, but with me trying to be clever and making my submarine hollow and out of Fimo. The very astute among you may notice that my yellow submarine is, not yellow. As it turns out, Fimo cures at a much lower temperature than Sculpey, and it burns at a much lower temperature as a result. And because I poured a very thick layer of resin, the internal temperature got so hot, it literally burned the Fimo, which led to catastrophic failure inside my submarine, popping the translucent windows out. This led to bubbles forming halfway through the resin curing process with nowhere to go, so I ended up with some pretty horrific bubbles around the right side of the sub. It also fractured the acrylic rod, making it infinitely more obvious than I could have possibly planned for. However, once I had a good cry and cursed my artistic inadequacies, I thought I'd try putting some whipped cream on this proverbial turd sandwich. Most of the bubbles are below the surface of the cured resin, so I'm going to have to drill a couple of relief holes so that I can get down to the exterior of the submarine. Then I'll mix up a new batch of resin, and using a needle, I'll try and inject as much resin as I can into the problem areas without adding any air bubbles. It's definitely not a perfect solution, but it's a damn sight better than it was, and with the power of Photoshop, I can cheese the thumbnail picture enough to trick you into clicking on this video thinking it contains some kind of impressive shark-related art. So if you made it this far, then I'll consider it a great success. Most painfully, however, is that the resin leak destroyed the LEDs, so my little sub has no little lights. Otherwise, I can do the usual resin cleanup, which involves cutting away the sharp edges where the resin creeped up the frame. Then I can add the little waves on top by adding a bumpy layer of UV resin, then covering it in a layer of gloss Mod Podge. Finally, I'll use my airbrush to blow some ripples into it, and once it dries, it'll be crystal clear. And then with that, we're on to our, well, I mean, I hesitate to call them glamour shots, so let's call them tragedy shots. There you have it, folks. I hope that despite a somewhat rocky end result, you at least enjoyed the ride. YouTube is filled to the brim with exceptionally talented artists making exceptionally awesome things, but they never seem to make any mistakes. So I thought rather than hide this one at the bottom of the dumpster, I figured it'd be worth showing how even the worst laid plans can go awry. I find that if you sit back, have a little cry, question what you're doing with your life, and stress eat a bag of Oreo cookies, you can often figure out a way to fix your mistakes. Failing that, you can always Photoshop it to look good and leave out the parts where it went wrong. As always, a massive thank you to my patrons for helping me afford to buy the material needed to ruin projects without horrifying financial ramifications. So a huge shout out to my newest patrons, Trey Wiseman, Tiny Elf, Arcane Jill, Rebecca Hayward, Matt Shannon, Ted, and Rachel Soma. If you'd like to help out, then consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and sharing this video with everyone you know. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Cheers.